It's time for another Dice Tower review with Zee Garcia.
Hey everybody, today I'm taking a look at Bluffalo. Bluffalo here is, as it says on the back, this card version of Liar's Dice is wild, it says. The game is very much Liar's Dice, and there have been a lot of versions of Liar's Dice lately that turn the game into a card game. So, does this one stand out from the pack? Is it interesting? Is it something new? Do the components make it stand out? Let's take a look. I'll show you how the game works, then we'll come back and I'll tell you what I thought. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to be dealt a hand of 8 cards. The rest of the cards we'll just place aside for now. And then the youngest player will begin the game. The objective is to be the last player holding any cards over multiple rounds. And so, on your turn, you are going to take a look at your cards. They come, as you can see here, in different numbers, up to 6. And sometimes you have a wild, and sometimes even a double wild. And you are going to say a number. You are going to make a bid, basically, of what you think is among all of the players' hands at least. So I could say, taking a look at my hand here, I've got 3 6s, I've got 2 double wilds, that is at least 7 6s. So I could say that I think there are at least 7 6s. I put the die on the 7, showing the 6s. And then it is the next player's turn, and they have one of 2 options. They can either raise the amount that they're saying, or they can call the bluff, right? They can say, there's no way, I don't think there are 7 6s among all our hands. But let's say they're not going to do that yet. They have 1 6 themselves. They have many 2s. And so they can raise this to say, I think there are 8 2s. And you can raise in one of 2 ways. You can either push up the total, so, 8 of anything would have been fine. Or you could raise the number. So if this player says 8 2s, the next player could say there are at least 8 3s. That would also be legal. And then this player would take a look at their hand. Again, these are all hidden, of course. It could say, I think there's at least 8 4s, whatever. Next player takes a look at their hand, and they would say, I think there's at least 9 3s. And this player goes back to the 6s. They say, yeah, well, I'm going to say 10 6s. And then this player says, no way, that's too many 6s. It's impossible, which of course it is not, but they could say that, and then we would reveal all of the hands and see who was correct. So the player who said 10 6s, they would reveal they have 4, 5, 6, 7 6s. And then this player has 1 more. That's 8. This player has 9, 10 6s, 11 6s. And then this player over here has 11, 12, 13, 14 6s. The difference was 4. This player was wrong by 4 cards. And so we're going to gather these up, we're going to shuffle again and deal out cards again, but this player here who was wrong is going to lose 4 cards. So everyone's going to start with 8 cards, this player is only going to start with 4 cards. And you play again another round, doing the same thing, pushing this up until someone says, no way, that's too many, reveal, count up, whichever player is wrong loses some cards until they've lost them all. They're out of the game. You continue playing the game until a single player has any cards left or would be entitled to any cards being dealt to them. And then that player is the winner of the game. And that is how you play Bluffalo. I am a big fan of Liar's Dice. It's one of my favorite games of all time. So having a card game version of Liar's Dice should pretty much be an automatic win for me, but I tend to find them very derivative for one thing, and just not really, they don't really bring anything new to the table. And so this one falls squarely in that category. When they say this is a card version of Liar's Dice, they're not kidding. It's basically what it is. The one different concept in this is the double wild cards, where a single card could count for 2 things. Okay, that's something, but the whole thing is just not great quality. The cards are serviceable. The board is not great quality. The die, whatever. It does come with a little pad of white paper. I mean, literally, just white paper. I don't know if I would call it a scoring sheet, because this is what it is. It's just, that's it. And so the whole thing has a little bit of a cheap feel to it. And then on top of that, the fact that it's just Liar's Dice makes the whole thing feel derivative and highly unnecessary. So, if you are dying for a version of Liar's Dice as a card game, and you want the closest thing to that possible, then yeah, maybe. Check this one out. It's not broken. It is Liar's Dice. And so, you know exactly what you're going to get if you buy this and you're aware of Liar's Dice. But if you are content with your version of Liar's Dice and would hope that if a card game takes that system and turns it into cards, it would actually add something, then this is not the one for you. For me, again, not impressed with it. It's just derivative and unnecessary, and not something I am going to necessarily recommend to folks that are looking for this type of thing. Stick with Liar's Dice. Maybe even look at one of the other games that have done this thing lately. I, for one, liked Lie from Perplexed in those little pack of games line, which is, a tiny little box, fits right in your pocket, and it's an interesting little variant of Liar's Dice. This one, not so much.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.